Now, before I was a 7-year-old girl, I was a 30-year-old woman. You must be thinking this is some Freaky Friday shit, but I promise you this is real. Now, my name is Bhavika Jagwani, and I am an immigrant. Now, being an immigrant came with its own set of problems, one of them being that I grew up way too soon. At the age of 7, I was someone's guardian. I was cooking, and I spent nearly 20 years of my life either sleeping on the floor or sharing a couch. And that did something to me. I had the fire in me to be an adult just so I can get that one bed. Now, you must think, Bhavika, that's so mature of you, right? And that's probably the dream of every parent. But was it good for me? Was it doing any good to me? Soon enough, my instinct to give, to be an adult and step up to the game, soon became my need for external validation. That external validation set the default for others. We allow others to abuse us only till the extent till we abuse ourselves. And that's from my favorite book, which I highly recommend, by the way. 2/3 of our brain are made with something called the neocortex, which is responsible for recognizing patterns. Unintentionally, when we seek external validation, we set a default for others where they understand how to treat us. For me, I asked permission for absolutely everything. So the default was, hey, Bhavika is going to ask me permission for A to Z, and that is how it's going to go. But let's dive a bit deeper on where that pattern actually comes from and that shame that Jazz was talking about earlier. It goes a lot deeper into the way we evolve, and I would like to bring attention to the human domestication theory. Now, this is a theory that goes way back to when we were Homo sapiens. Getting a bit geeky here, but I promise you this will help you understand a bit better. Now, as we evolved, we went through a selective breeding process, and this theory outlines that through this, we self-domesticated ourselves, and we share so many traits, which fascinated me when I went into this. We share so many traits similar to other domesticated animals, like dogs and cats. So many experts have researched into this, and 2 things I wanted to call out. That over the years, we reduced 20% of our testosterone levels. Now, that's the male hormone responsible for the way you show aggressiveness. Originally, humans were designed to be hunters, to survive, to hunt for food. Now, reduction in testosterone levels, it definitely meant that, hey, we're really fit for collaboration. But what it did was it increased our need to fit in. When we started doing that, we found ways to make sure that we fit in, that we're like that other person who's wearing that pink blazer, because that's the next fashion. As a result, we have about 15 to 20% of increase in anxiety-related disorders. And that's because of all the pressure that it puts right here. Now, all that pressure, all that social pressure, is because of something called environmental mismatch. What I said before, we were designed to hunt, and currently we live in an urbanized environment where we are grouped together, which has its own benefits for sure, but the problem comes when it takes away our power. When it takes away our power to think independently, and it becomes, hey, you shouldn't think for yourself, you should include all of us in your decisions. Now, what happens when we don't confront those limiting beliefs? When we don't confront those limiting beliefs, we carry this entity with us, this weight that pulls us down constantly. It hashes you down, and it stops you from making decisions. It holds a tight grip on you, and oftentimes it looks like sitting on the sofa at 2 a.m. eating a cheesecake. Binge eating. It looks like trying to ask everyone for advice but yourself. What do you want? And on the other side of it, we have the unknown. The unknown is the absence of information rather than all the 100 different things that we create, the worst possibilities that, oh, if I wear that, no one's going to like me because I'm overdressed for that, or I'm just not going to fit in. It's our responsibility to fill that absence of knowledge with learnings and tools to empower us and tackle that imposter syndrome. And that's where I'd like to introduce you to the POWR framework. And this is what really got me through 6 years of conscious healing. I say conscious because we're always evolving, and I didn't know that I had imposter syndrome. The first step is to pinpoint the pattern. Now, I want each one of you to take out your notebooks and pens, and I'm going to put you to work, and write down a reason. Write down one pattern that you see in yourself in which you abuse yourself. It can be absolutely anything. The point of doing that is to keep it very brief. What do you feel? Is to acknowledge your feelings. I feel scared to confront my friend about something that upset me. I get defensive about it. It angers me. Keep it minimal, like a diary entry. The next point is to observe the emotions. Now, how I like to do this is almost detach myself and think of me as someone completely opposite. The opposite of me would be someone filled with light, someone filled with confidence, someone who I'd look up to, can be your best idol. And after you wrote that statement, you need to write down 2 words, 1 to 2 words, that really stand out to how you feel. It's important to acknowledge your emotions because we're always in this constant race of, hey, I need to be better at this, this, and this, and personal development becomes a whole new task of improvement, and you're never, ever satisfied with the progress you've made. So it's important to sit down and acknowledge those emotions. The third, one of the hardest bits, work on the why. Now, the way I did this is by creating an alter ego. The alter ego, what would she do? Write down, what would she do? What would she say to me? Is she better than me? Yeah? Ask her. Why do I feel this way? Is it because of that one instance that happened when I was a child? Or is it the other day someone said something to me? And in this example, I wasn't scared to confront, I was scared of the outcome, that I'll lose my friend, for example. And the last but not least is to reframe the response. Watch how you speak to yourself. We're our worst enemies and our bestest of friends. And give yourself the possibility. What happens if it turns out completely different to what you imagined? What if you share your feelings and your friendship grows even more? 5 things I wish someone told me, especially that 7-year-old girl. Get out of your head and onto the goddamn paper. Get out of your head and onto the goddamn paper. Simplify things for yourself. The only way to understand what's in here is to write it down and see how simple it is. You don't feel, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. No, you feel anger. It's as simple as that. What might be true for you today may not be true for you later, and that's completely fine. You change as an individual so many times. Like if I saw myself last year, I wouldn't have known who the fucking hell she was. And that's fine. Allow yourself. If something triggers you today, it won't tomorrow, and that's fine. If something new comes up, that's fine. Allow yourself the growth. There is no right or wrong answer. That's the third thing. There is only trial and error. We're not an end destination, guys. We're a journey, okay? And hold your hand while you go through that journey together. Ask yourself, what am I capable of, and am I willing to support myself while I go through this? One that I already mentioned, you're your biggest enemy or your bestest supporter. I can ask my mum to support me one day, but maybe she had a bad day. She might give me a different response than what she usually does. So really sit down with yourself, look yourself in the mirror. What do I need to hear right now, which I can tell myself today, rather than going out to someone else to ask for it? And last but not least, it takes time. Give yourself some grace. Be patient with yourself. And the permission is yours. I want everyone to make a promise to themselves. I'm going to say the power is, and you're going to say mine. I want you to all say it with so much conviction that your life depends on it, okay? The power is mine. Well done. Come on, more energy, guys. The power is mine. Love it. And that's all from me, guys. Thank you so much. Any questions?
First of all, thank you very much. It was very inspiring. I'm a personal development coach for working moms. One of the challenges when you're a mom and you work in tech, for example, the permission, sometimes it's really hard for them for the permission. Two things that tend to ask is, how can I work with flexibility, or how can I not bring my work at home? So what kind of tips and things moms can do to actually get the permission to have flexibility at home?
I think the first step is to really acknowledge what is it that you want, because oftentimes we have a tendency to project a lack of knowledge on other people. Like if I have a wishy-washy idea of something, I'm going to project that, right? So I think the first step is to know what exactly do you want and write it down. It may take you a while, but write it down. And the second is to have the audacity to go up to that career employer or whoever that you're talking to, your manager, and say, hey, this is what's happening. I would like this and this flexibility. But also, I think it's a business at the end of the day that you're working for, so you have to show how is this impacting you and your productivity. I think that's a good way to tie it in and link it back to that employer, because what is it in for them? Oftentimes, unfortunately, a lot of the employers out there, it's a business at the end of the day. I've been made redundant 2 times back to back last year with no job the whole year, which was really tough for me. And that really opened my eyes as to, hey, it's a business at the end of the day. You're a number, but you can have a valuable input while you're still there. So when setting boundaries and, hey, this is what I want from you, I would really recommend tying it back into how is this impacting the business, and what's in it for them for giving you that flexibility. Thank you. Any more questions?
Time for.
I'm going to ask someone to maybe share if you wrote down some notes from that POWR framework and share it with the group if you feel comfortable. Anyone feel comfortable? Okay, go for it. Well done.
So I don't always open up about how I feel, and I have actually learned recently it's actually just really the whole like quite relevant to what I'm going through. But I've noticed that I feel a lot of shame and a lot of people feel sorry for me. In regards to what I the article say to myself is to be me and for myself.
I love that. I love that. Give a round of applause. What was your name?
Janelle.
Give a round of applause for Janelle, please. Thank you so much. That's it. No more questions? Well, feel free to find me and connect with me, and you got my life details here, as Jazz said.